We can make jokes on everybody else except for this community.
You know what that is? A white person said, "Why can't I say nigga?"
This is my cap of it.
Yeah.
He says it. He says the premise of the show several times in the middle, and I think he's trying to make this equation, and I think he thinks he's beating it, but he's not. Which is, black folk have been repressed and suppressed for a long time. Trans people are in the Progress Olympics are surpassing them. You can't
gay people
or gay people and but trans too. I think.
No, he didn't say trans.
I think he feels that way though. I think that's why.
Very wrong opinion.
No, but I think
even in the because even in the the community,
LGBTQ
in the LGBTQ
plus.
community, the T is the one that gets flacked the most.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
that's
Right.
like that is probably
Within that community.
And
within
strangely
that community.
bisexual shortly after, apparently. But it's like trans and then bisexuals get fucked with.
Yeah, I didn't know they had that problem.
Yeah,
They do, yeah.
But anyway, but I think that he says gays have already made it past. I think he's maybe not upset, but I think he wants to make the point that trans people shouldn't be moving in front of the progress line of black folk because we've been at it longer. I wish it was going as well for us. He says.
Is it a competition?
And that's what the thing. He's saying that other people aren't listening to him. Because he's like, it's never been about trans. It's always been, my beef has always been with white people, he says. Right?
Yeah, because he does have a joke in there, which I did think was a really complex joke that was on particularly the gay community.
Right.
But it doesn't work in the same way as it could work with the trans community because you wear that one outside.
Those are two different communities. You can't lump them together.
Yeah, like it's two. Like so the thing was because he said and it's not a joke that's been isolated a lot in articles I was reading where he's like, hey, gay people can be gay. Or gay people can be
minorities until they need to be white.
Until they need to be white,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a really good joke, really good like.
Oh, I like that. But it's like
really good point.
Like that would have made us a great but what was the build up and the setup to that? That was what that joke lacked. To
right.
me.
And so
I thought that joke I thought that was the one where I was like, cool, he's getting back to that calm. Like I thought so that was because that was early on. I thought that was the direction.
Right.
Right. Where I was like, cool, that feels like it's on the line.
Right.
He's being funny,
we're back on the
educated,
line.
and then it's like, cool. Like he says something like this, where most people could be like, damn, that's spicy. But
I'm thinking.
yeah, I'm like,
But
yeah,
I'm
it got me
thinking it's
thinking.
insightful.
Yeah, it's
That's
insightful.
what that's the strength
And
of his
they're
humor.
in there. The baby thing where he murdered a man in a
Yeah.
Walmart and it
In
didn't
there.
affect his career at all.
But that's in the first half.
And that's in the first down, but that's Chappelle premise.
classic
like, oh
Chappelle.
shit. But then when you go to him saying these things about the trans community and about like how Caitlyn Jenner was a woman of the year in her first year being a woman. Like that's a commentary saying, and he goes, all the women of Detroit ain't shit. That's what he said in the joke.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to that context where he's upset about that.
Yeah.
He's upset that there was a trans woman that got to be Woman of the Year over probably a qualified or not. Let me watch my phrasing. Well, no, let's say qualified. Let's say qualified. Let's say qualified in terms of education or public service,
or who had been put. Because Caitlyn Jenner, it was more of publicity. It was like in terms of like there was a lot more publicity surrounding.
She was a woman and came out as a trans woman, whereas there could have been like that's just false equivalency. But Stacey Abrams, who's out there, foot to the ground, making protests and things happen, right?
Or even another trans woman who'd been doing it for longer,
or who had been like feeding the homeless and building houses.
Because
Janet Mock or something.
Right? Yeah, I'm more than certain that there is like some really prominent trans individuals who had been put in a lot more work,
right? And
specifically more recognition.
Then specifically black trans. Let's say that, right?
You got to put that out there.
Then you got to say it. You got to isolate that.
Right.
This is the point here, and go. Yeah.
But he didn't. And so what happens is it comes off as I'm mad that a trans person is more of a woman than what I think in his thought.
That's what I think
is a real woman because I'm a TERF.
It's hard not to hear it that way.
Right.
It's really hard.
Right. And so then now that is a valid criticism over just saying, oh, he's transphobic and he hates gays and that's the simplified version. Mm-hmm. He's not doing that because the jokes aren't set up that way.
To me,
the jokes are premised in a way that you could go one or two ways and he just chooses wrong every fucking time in this special.
If someone could make the argument that he has beef with the trans community, I could see this special.
I don't think that he does,
but I don't think he does.
Right.
I don't think he does either.
But someone could make that argument, and I'd be like,
he feels some kind of way about him. Yeah.
I think he feels myth. Okay, so I think the core fiber of this being, I really think the core of this essence, which has a tiny bit of validity to it, he's like, we can make jokes on everybody else except for this community.
You know what that is? A white person said, "Why can't I say nigga?"
No, and that's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
No, and I think it's different.
Real quick. No. Let me talk. Okay.
Volume down.
No.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, dude, I'm not.
No, I'm just saying
I got
volume.
You.
Yeah, I'm with you, dog. Tommy got me scared. He was like, "Nigga, let me yell."
I'm not gonna talk that much. All right, look. So here's my thing.
JJ's right here.
What about JJ? That was good. Go ahead.
JJ's like, I hate trans people. No,
No, hold up. He's been sitting on the point. Go ahead.
So yeah, no, like the whole thing is everything he said. He talks about white people and the things white people do to black people. Boom, boom.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Very good at doing that. I don't think he realized everything he did in that latter half of the special.
No, it
was that.
Yeah,
I have a trans friend, black friend. Why do trans people? Why can't I make fun of?
I'm
trans
rich.
People?
I'm Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, that's a whole different.
I'm the
That's a
goat.
different
That's
argument.
No, but that's
thing,
a sense of entitlement.
Yeah, sense
of
of
I can do this because I am status.
Yeah, I caught that. And it just, and to me, the whole thing with like the black and trans community, it baffles me. Just black people in general, it baffles me. So TJ, I don't want to get killed because of how I look.
Nah,
Do you?
not really.
No other reason.
Nah.
You know the life expectancy for trans people in America is like 35
You're right.
in America.
And black trans, even less, I think.
Even less,
It's like
like-
23
yeah,
or
it's
something
like-
like that.
yeah.
No, it's like 25.
25.
If
yeah.
this is how he feels about it, if this is how he thinks he can make the best jokes of it, then he's losing his touch. And that makes me very sad. And
he's
I would
not
say
losing-
Jon Stewart's very similar in that way for me.
Yeah, he's similar
losing
too.
his touch too.
They're getting, dude. The world has changed a lot, and I'm sorry.
The
And it
world
goes for
has changed.
Not John LaFontaine. Yeah, but no, like, and that's the thing. Like, it is no country for old men in this bitch for some people. Like, it just is.
Right.
Like, it's things we're not that fucking old, and it's some things we don't understand.
Bro, we got
about
yelled
this
at
fucking
from
generation.
two 22-year-olds about the whole
Well, you should know about
they,
that.
them, trans.
You're old enough to know that.
Well, no, I'm just saying the younger girlfriends, Marcos and
But that's the
TJ's
future,
girlfriend,
man.
they were
That's-
just like, why don't you understand they, them, you trans people, you fucking morons.
That
Like,
is the encroaching future.
And can I please quickly clarify and to save y'all too?
Nope.
Look, so it wasn't that they didn't understand. It was
I
more.
didn't say they didn't understand.
I said
no,
Marcos
no.
didn't. Marcos didn't understand.
Marcos straight up like Marcos was literally like the usage of they them. Like it was that aspect was the confusing aspect.
His
for him.
brain, I saw sparks above
Oh,
his
no.
brain. Just he didn't get it.
Shit, I tried to defend y'all, and I ain't about to throw myself in the ditch. I'm good. I wasn't in. I understood.
You already threw yourself in the ditch several times.
I
Yeah.
know he did very well. I think.
I'm
You
okay.
did.
Hey, I'm tall enough to climb myself out. I
The
don't need
wood chip
ropes.
ditch.
The wood chip ditch.
But no, I think that's a real.
Dude, so yeah, to me, just like wrap it up for myself.
Yeah.
Like, no, he could have went that whole angle. It's a lot of similarities between the struggles of black people and the struggle of trans people today. It's a real big difference. White people don't like things they don't understand, right? They hate it. They fear it. They make them uncomfortable. Same fucking thing.
Right.
He could have
Same
gone. He
shit.
could have gone the route.
You could have done something with that.
You could have gone the route of unity versus hey, this is another group.
Yeah.
But the thing, so I think this extends to most forms of comedy, right? Where I think the clearest sort of area of, clear yes goes, no goes is simply put black and white.
Right.
It'll always kind of be the one that's the most clearest cut go. And then I think that Hispanic comedians usually stay in touch with the cultural aspects, but then they can also touch on, hey, black, white, things of that nature. 'Cause
Right.
A lot of the only
race, yeah.
comedians that like you don't really I think Asian American Indian communities or comedians are also in that camp where like race jokes have kind of been figured out, or you know how to navigate them to be
Yeah.
funny.
Right, your Joe Coys, your other guys
Dude,
where they can do things.
I don't think that the reason why some of those worked out is because Chappelle was part of that community and then made that the standard of like cool, right?
He's a lot of
There's not a
people's
trans
inspiration.
community, Like, cause a trans community, comedian.
Comedian. Yeah, you're right.
A trans comedian
that has broken that door open.
like who breaks that door, sets the standard of like, okay,
there are trans comedians that exist, but it's not that mainstream.
Yeah, like that.
Right.
So you know what? Like, okay, so this is
to write the rules.
Yeah, like to set the standard.
Our rules have already been written
for a while.
Richard Pryor wrote our rules. Like we have our rules.
So there's no one to write the rules. That's a very good point.
I like that.
Right now, I'm trying to find the one. There's a trans comedian.
You don't know what's okay.
What's okay?
Because even with
you don't want to hurt that community, man. Like
you don't want
to. And if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, you stand a very good chance of doing that. Because jokes like that placing those kind of bets,
you're placing bets, and then you don't.
And you were crapping out. You're not. It's not working.
Right.
It's not working. And now, granted, do I think that anybody should be taking this shit to heart? No.
If you're trans, I think you're fully allowed.
No, time out. The reason why I'm saying you shouldn't take it to heart is because he's like, not because I'm defending Dave Chappelle, not because I'm defending anybody. It's because at the end of the day, it's some rich dude who's making these.
I feel like that makes it worse.
No, who's making these comments towards your community, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't think it should impact you in terms of like, hey, you know what, this is going to hold me back. I think the benefit of this and what a lot of people are leveraging it and why I'm saying it like this is because it's not as though they're using it as a lot of the people I've seen are not hurt by it in terms of like, hey, they're directly impacted, but they're seeing like, hey, this is so insensitive and this is showing the lack of education that you have in this area,
right.
Which I think is a way more crystallization and a clearer cut sort of way of approaching it whenever you're branching it out. Because what I fear is, and what happens a lot of the times is when you let it be shown and known as like, yo, oh, like we're pissed. Like it's like, oh no, we're not pissed. I'm like hurt by this. The communities who are the most bigoted are like, cool, they're just hurt, keep it moving, right? Versus like, yo, like the way that it works is like, oh, I'm not hurt, but this is a point of education and I leverage this, and yeah, you are going to hurt somebody with these words. It allows for more, I would put it, not allows for more fluid conversation, but to me, like that's how you avoid a lot of those Twitter back and forth, the nip naps with the dumber individuals, because the first thing that they're going to latch on is, oh, they're just hurt to be hurt. Like they're just hurt to be hurt, and I hate that, for any sort of like a minority group.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm like just like how, I'm certain there's instances where you've seen like African American jokes that you're like, that didn't sit right with me. Right. From a comedian who you're like, that didn't sit right with me. Didn't hurt me on a personal level, but I was like, okay, this is how I can show why this is bad. And I think that like through this, I think last time, so this is something that didn't happen last time. Last time the trans community had this, last time this was like, he had an issue with the trans community, I feel like it got shut out because people kept on saying, oh, they're just hurt for no reason.
Right.
I think this time people are like, no, we've been through this before. Now we're just like, now pointing out all.
Yeah, that's it.
You see what I'm saying?
Dissect. Yeah, so
they're dissect. So I'm seeing more dissections of that, and there's no way that you can argue against it because you're like, cool, like they're laying it out verbatim.
The Black Coalition got involved.
Yeah. So I know that at first that sounded like a very bigoted point, but it gets to the point of like, I feel like the communication flow of this one is a lot more put together, a lot more power behind it, and a lot more people who are genuinely expressing.
Mike.
Yeah,
something good, Mike.
And like people are and I also set the stage of like, hey, people actually watched it this time, right? And before they leaving that commentary, which is, so they're like, cool, I had the context, and now I can fully point out why this is wrong.
Right.
Like, because the turf thing inherently, turf in and of itself is a pretty cray-cray statement, right? But even the setup allows for that. Like how do we get to that point outside of just turf being wrong?
Right.
Like, okay, cool. There's aspects of the setup. There's aspect of the delivery. And then all those points paint a lot clearer of a picture for education to be shared easily. Hopefully that made sense. Like, I wasn't trying to be like, oh, like you shouldn't feel hurt.
Yeah, but the start off was terrible. Well, yeah, no, I got how you spoke.
It's like it's not that you shouldn't. It's like it's maybe I should phrase it like this. It's not that you shouldn't be hurt. It's that shouldn't be the limiter. Like that shouldn't be the stopper.
That's a way better way to put it. Yeah,
that shouldn't be the limiter.
Way better way
it should be the stopper.
Yeah.
But and you also have like I will squash this right now. Yes, comedy is subjective,
of course.
Semicolon. However, Oh, come on, y'all got to know when something's not funny and something's wrong.
No shit.
It's a form. And
just because a comedian's a comedian doesn't mean everything he says is going to
Right.
be.
Right, yeah. Well, no, something that he mentioned reminded me of a story from behind the scenes on The Simpsons. This was like mid-90s Simpsons. I don't remember what season, but there was an episode where John Waters guest stars, and the premise of the episode is that he's new in town and the family becomes friends with him. Homer doesn't realize that he's gay, and Bart takes a shine to John Waters' character. So now Homer, after he finds out that John Waters is gay, is like, oh shit, Bart's gay. And that's the entire premise of the episode. He's trying to fix Bart so that he's not gay. In that script, the original script, the writers didn't know that the F word was offensive to gay people. So in the original script, it had it in there. And to their credit, they asked John Waters to read the script before they even, I think, asked him to be on the episode.
Uh-huh.
And they just asked him, is there anything here that you would change? Are we stepping on any toes? Like, what's wrong?
Right.
And he said, the script, for the most part, is fine. Just get rid of that word.
Yeah.
And yeah, they changed it. And I think they replaced it with queer. And they asked him, like, is queer fine? And he's like, yeah, queer's fine. Totally fine.
And there you go. And
So
that's how we learn.
So that's what, like, and that's what I'm saying. Because it's very
Yeah.
easy for, because I just know, I mean, shit, we're in Texas. I know how many people will hear that people are mad at a Dave Chappelle
Yeah, brush it
special
off.
and just brush it off. Yeah. Actually, you know what? I got onto my girlfriend too, because before I left, she's like, oh, did you hear what happened to Dave Chappelle? I was like, did you watch the special? She said, no. I said, okay, don't talk to me.
Right. Right. You can't.
I said,
Yeah, no, I believe that shit.
And she would
And
be,
I was like,
and your
and I-
girlfriend, as much as she cares about the trans community, because she was only explaining it to us, right away, she's going to be
mad.
eyes on fire. Yeah.
And I'm like, cool. Like, I will support. The thing is, I know for a fact I'm on the same page with you, but I do not. But I really don't.
It's a good lesson.
Like, I don't.
Like-
don't because whenever, because let's say you go online, let's say you go share your opinion, and if somebody asks you that question of if you watched it and you say no, you're immediately invalidated.
Right. I read
But-
the article.
It's crazy.
I read the article.
Well, that was the whole point of
Heard
his
what he
premise, was
said.
that people were referencing an article of his first show that accused him of all these things, that he's punching down, that he's against community. So that was his whole point. His whole point was that he wants people to watch the show, make a decision, and listen to him. And we are listening, Dave Chappelle, but it's not that good.
In the
Figure
end,
it
when
out.
he's like, he's not going to tell me more jokes till we're laughing together. It just was weird.
No, that's the point.
I was like,
no, but that's
what?
the point. That's the final piece, which
Right.
is, if they're not laughing with you, then you're not doing it right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And
You basically just said
and you
it.
can't say that, oh, you're just, I like the old Stonewall gays where they could take a joke and glory holes and I want them to be tougher. No, you can't make people tougher. And you can't force them to be, because you know what makes you tough? Trauma and war and fights.
Right.
And those motherfuckers deal with it way more on a daily, nightly, monthly basis than
Probably
we've
walk
ever
out
had
the
to
fucking
do.
door.
Right. Y'all are black in Texas. You guys get shit thrown at you every so often. You're in Austin, so it's not so bad.
Nah, I've not.
No,
Not
but
here.
you've had a gun pulled on you 3 times in your
Yeah, I
life.
was LaGrange in Houston.
But still.
Here I've been fine. But yeah, I get what
Right,
you're saying.
I'm
But-
the inverse. I've had worse. I came from backwater Texas, and here's where I've experienced the most racism.
Right.
Here.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Now put a black trans woman, put a Mexican trans woman. It's going to be the same everywhere.
Everywhere.
If not more, worse.
Like I said,
It's a matter of
Oh no! What are you talking
better,
about?
worse.
It's going to be worse.
Worse.
Or
and depending
you
on
step
where
out
you're
of
at.
the house,
Right.
You have risk of being ridiculed.
Right.
and
Oh, look, like-
And so if you're telling them to be tougher, that don't make no sense to me.
Hey, nigga, be tough. How would you like when someone told you some shit like
Right.
that? That's what I'm saying.
Let me
man.
make fun of you. Let me
That's-
make fun of you.
That's what I'm saying.
You're just taking up the butt. That was a really bad joke. That was like not. It wasn't supposed to be a gay thing, but it was by accident.
I know it came out.
I was in
well.
the I was in the character of a hatred-filled person, so it works
Yeah.
out.
Did not put a lot of effort
No,
into
but
that.
that wasn't me saying that. That was
got
a hatred person. Like, what, you got some up your butt? Be tougher.
Right.
You know, what are you, gay? What are you trans?
That's what that
And the
is.
trans, they don't mean they're gay, but that's the other part of it. Just because they're trans don't mean they're gay. But what are you, gay or something? Well, you can't take a joke,
Trans women are
taking everything up
women.
there,
Yeah,
blah, blah,
no,
blah.
be classified as
And they're
straight,
gonna.
bro.
Oh, whoops. That's
What the fuck is that?
That's gonna be that's what I was gonna play to get out of here, which is how you can make fun of trans comedians and make trans jokes, because this one here is Robin Tran, a transgender comedian. She's gaining prominence, and this is her doing a battle with a disabled dude. He has a cerebral palsy, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
But they're just going back and forth, dueling in a insult battle, and he's making trans jokes.
Unemployed, so it's a good thing she doesn't have to buy tampons.
Okay,
There are a lot of things Joe can't hold, like a microphone, or his liquor, or the arms of a woman who actually loves him.
Right.
My limbs are straighter than you'll ever be.
Yeah. So it's 2 minutes of
Mother
there.
wants to be an actress, but she doesn't even portray a convincing woman.
Right.
Bro, time out. Time out. I guess disabled. He's like, I'm to say whatever the fuck I want.
No, but that's what I'm saying. But that's how you make everyone's laughing. She's laughing. Yeah, I'm transgender, and I
But
still
see-
use my dick more than you do. Like that coming from a transgender comedian that loves the material, that is the material, that loves herself, that is working on it, the societal things of those things. Because I follow up with this comedian. It's a balancing act because I want to say she was not transgender when she started comedy, and then was like, oh, I'm transgender, and so that switch happened publicly, and so finding that balance between the two, it's funnier when she's doing it. I mean, I'm gonna let it play, but go ahead to your point.
No, I just think that but the key quintessential difference is that, hey, look, there's trans person in the room. They obviously have to have a
It's her show.
conversation
Yeah,
beforehand about how to tackle this, right?
Yeah.
I like there's
Oh,
just
we know it might have been the Simpsons situation where he passed
Yeah, like-
the script.
Right.
I really just don't get and here's my ultimate last point of I just don't get, with all that money, all that smart, she's way too talented and way too
To
smart.
me, it's his influence.
Yeah, to
Way too influential to be so
haphazard.
Yeah.
I know that he's it just always feels like his other jokes usually get just one run through. Because it's
he's never just
one
been.
run
He
through.
never just hammered home one fucking group like that.
No, it felt like, and that was, and so more so than the jokes for me, because I think the jokes were also rough.
Yeah.
It was the fact that I just was like, damn, Nick, switch to a different group. I'm right here. I said, throw a black joke, break this up, because it just felt heavy.
Right.
And
Yes.
that's where I was like,
Yes.
And that's, so on that notion, I was like, damn, dude, you can't be just isolated this group that already has so much oppression against it.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not like that.
And,
Right.
and you,
We
but-
support trans communities around here.
That we
support
do.
the,
That we
support
do.
the goddamn trans community. Right. I don't know why I'm so aggressive.
All the letters are important.
And I already did a shirt ad, so don't
Yeah,
worry about
we'll
it.
get one.